I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book In the Heart of Tuja, no other than Miss Federica Bresson. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Federica, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me on. My name is Federica and I'm Italian and I am in Italy right now. I'm speaking to you from the land of Tuscia. So, this word that's in the title of my book is actually the name of a place in Italy, not a town, but like an area, a region called Tuscia between Rome and Tuscany. So, that's where I am. I am in my 40s, and this book just came out 2 years ago now. I have previously worked as a researcher in academia and as a musician, and I am just about to start a new whole adventure in New Zealand starting 2 weeks from now. So
So,
maybe
Miss,
another book coming.
yes, thank you, Miss Federica, for sharing your talents to the world. Thank you so much. So, what is In the Heart of Tuja primarily about?
Sure. So I have a hard copy here in my hands, the Italian version, because I wrote it in Italian and it's also available in English as you're showing on screen and Dutch. It's not a thick read, as you can see, and the book is like an itinerary. I take the copy in my hands because I want to show you the table of contents, which is like an itinerary because each chapter is called like a different place in Tusha. And the reason is that the main character, who is a woman, who is not familiar with these places because she's just moved here, just like myself 4 years ago, goes out with a man that she meets, and their thing together is to go visit some place. Like, this is no regular love story where they, stay at home, watch TV, or that would be the main story. The main story is actually the landscape and them exploring the landscape. Then, of course, there is a friendship and some romance between them, but it's very, very immersed in the beautiful places of this region, Tusha. This is the short version.
So, where is Tusha region located, and why is it historical or culturally significant?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, Tuscia is between the city of Rome, central Italy, and the region of Tuscany. I'm just mentioning two very famous places people should know. So we're just about in central Italy here on the west coast of the boot. And even the name Tuscia comes from the Etruscan people who used to live here even before Rome was founded. So this is the history around here. It's all Etruscan, and the architecture, most historical buildings, and the Etruscan tombs, they're all made of this very typical, um, easy to work with stone called tuff, which sounds odd. It's tough, but it's easy to work with. Tuff. That is dark brown color. So there's lots of nature. It's all green, interspersed with this hilltop towns made of this type of stone.
So, what historical time period does the story or narrative primarily focus on?
You're not talking about my book, right? You're asking about Tusha.
Yes.
That would be about a 5th century before Christ.
Okay. So that's also how you incorporate to your novel.
Well, For example, the man and the woman in the book at some point visit a place which is a chapter in the book called Norkia, which is an archaeological site. It's not that I wanted to give attention to the archaeology, or talk about history in the book. The thing is that in this region, all these very ancient tombs or buildings are just everywhere. So, like people in Rome, which is so weird. They're these archaeological sites. They're in the city. You don't go visit the Colosseum. You just drive by it every day. That's unique, right, about Rome. And here we are in nature, but you do see these types of buildings and archaeology all the time. And Norkia is one of these places, but as well, the book opens actually. The very first chapter begins with the protagonist sitting on a small stone bridge that overlooks an archaeological site. It's a side of a hill, filled with holes in the rock, because these were ancient Etruscan tombs, painted, filled with treasures and all. Now it's just the hole in the rock, right? But it's, um, like, I wouldn't say in the background, but I don't talk about the archaeology in the book, and yet it's just there all around the protagonists.
So, what is the central conflict in the heart of Tusha?
Conflict.
Yes.
Well, I would say that there is an inner conflict, and conflict is maybe a strong word, but a tension between her and him in the book. It's also been said that this book is both an inner journey and an outer journey, in the land and in the soul. So the conflict would reflect that. She is someone who, again, maybe conflict is a strong word. She's not conflicted. She's not really just troubled, but she's definitely someone s- uh, searching for some answers to existential questions. So there's some, more than troubled, I would just say restlessness. She's restless. And initially, she does not trust this man that she's just met. So she approaches him, very reluctantly. And you could call that a tension between them, because it's not love at first sight. And so, she says no lots of times. And um, I like to think, I mean, this is a modern type of interaction. It's not the 1900s. So it's not the man courts the woman says no. And it's not that type of dynamic. I think it's very psychological. And eventually, though, that tension is, overcome, and she relaxes, opens up, and they're able to bond.
Definitely bond together. What role does historical exploration or local culture play in the story?
Well, the main protagonist has just moved to this region and she doesn't even know what's out there. He, the man, the protagonist, was born here. So he doesn't just know the places, these are his places. And like I said, there's history, there is archaeology everywhere in Tusha. So it's kind of, inevitable that everywhere they go, she would see these nice places, lakes, for example, natural beauties, forests, but at the same time she would see and learn about the history of the place as they visit not just Norcia, an archaeological site, but the city of Tuscania. um, I do invite your audience, to kind of Google these places, or to visit the website of the book, because in the ebook version of the book, there are pictures and you can see a little bit of what these places look like.
So, Miss Federica, How does In the Heart of Tusha capture the connection between the natural landscape and the region's culture?
Oh, there's much focus on the region's culture here. Well, I tell you what the role of the landscape is in the story for the um, female protagonist, especially. I talk about the beauty of nature as an agent of inner transformation more than once, but once especially in the first chapter. She is brought by the man, by the hero, to a beautiful place that she does not expect to be so beautiful. And this whole landscape just does something to her. You know, that kind of beauty of a landscape, not just here. I've seen beautiful places in Canada, I've seen beautiful places in the States, in Ireland, in France, you know, in Egypt. I mean, everywhere you go, you can find extraordinary beauty in nature. And this type of landscape does not leave you untouched. And I talk about this beauty of nature as an agent of inner transformation.
Inner transport transformation, people. So, how does the story incorporate local customs, tradition, or cuisine from the Tuscia region?
Um, they go out and eat a couple of times. You know, I don't really enter into the details. Um, it's not a travel guide. It's called In the Heart of Tusha, and someone before took it for a travel guide. It is not. It's not the Lonely Planet of Tusha. So a couple of times the main characters go out and eat, but I don't dwell on the description of what they eat exactly. It's like fish once, and I don't even remember another time. It's not that prominent actually in the book.
So, what are your struggles in writing In the Heart of Tuscia?
To find a measure, meaning how much do I want to write? How much more should I write when I felt that I was done already? Should I add? And then when I went back and reworked the text, I had to know when to stop. I think that reworking the book, the text, is necessary, but there is a point after which you're not going to make it better anymore. You're going to start making it worse, and you have to know when to stop touching it. And that was mostly the struggle. Writing it, like putting it down, letting it out, was not an issue. I was quite inspired. It took, I mean, it was work. I was very dedicated to it, but it came easily.
So, how do individual characters' personal journeys reflect the broader themes in the heart of Tusha?
The broader themes. Um, well, I'll say that the story is narrated by the female protagonist. It's as if we are in her mind. She's talking. So we know her quite well. We know her thoughts, we know her feelings, but we don't know much about him unless it's through her and what she thinks of him or what she observes, what she reports that he did. So in her, we can observe an evolution. He is a static character, he doesn't change along the story. How she changes is that precisely she is someone who, at the beginning of the story, is looking for some answers to existential questions. Some questions she doesn't even know. She's just restless. And meeting this man, actually, you know, the song Natural Woman, when in the second verse she sings, I didn't know just what was wrong with me, and you came along, but you helped me name it. It's a weird verse, but it's like that. You meet someone sometimes, and there's a click, and so this person, even if he doesn't do it intentionally, almost, he's not a therapist, he helps her open up a little bit, learn to trust more, to let go a little bit. And so she becomes stronger and her gaze on life broadens. So there is an evolution in her. She's more fragile and insecure at the beginning, and by the end, when she looks back on this experience that she's had, she feels like warm inside and a feeling of gratitude. And I cannot say more because I don't want to give the end of
Spoilers.
the story away. Yeah.
Spoilers, people. So, Miss Federica, what will be your advice for those people out there aspiring for to write a novel like you?
Just do it. It sounds easy, right? But
Yes.
just do it, because there is nothing you can do to learn how to write and improve your writing that precedes writing. Just start and do it badly, and then do it again. Something that I didn't know and I have learned is that even the famous authors that I admire so much rewrote many times. When you do it, you feel like you did it wrong, you failed, it's a mistake. I have to correct. It's just part of the process, I found. Rewrite from scratch. You know the story in your head, throw that whole paragraph away and say it again in a different way. That is practice.
Practice make you perfect, people, as they said. And what are your short-term and long-term goals in writing, Miss Federica?
Hmm. Well, shortly after writing this book, I wrote other short stories that were published. And I thought that I was going to do that for the rest of my life, just write. But then something, say, happened in my life, as it does, and I just stopped writing, just from one day to the next. And I have not written a single line since. I believe I shouldn't force it. So I just hope that one day I will feel like writing again. I hope that very much. But for the time being, my goal is to actually embark on this new adventure that I mentioned in the opening of this interview. And I hope that this experience will actually spark some new idea for telling a story, or for fiction or demi fiction. We'll see.
Looking forward for those books to come, Miss Federica, and good luck to your goals. So, what does In the Heart of Tusha use symbolism to connect its characters and their stories to the landscape or history?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question? Symbolism for what?
To connect its characters.
Symbolism. I'm sorry, but I don't think I understand the question. There's a symbol on the cover. I can talk about that, but I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry.
Let's say for the protagonist with symbolisms that direct to the readers that, oh, this is the protagonist, automatically that symbol that you connect to the protagonist, let's say a super power, or probably the
Ah,
protagonist is about love or something that you connect to the protagonist.
all right. Well, to the male protagonist, um, I definitely associate the gift of light, I call it. So he's someone that when he enters a room, the room lights up. He is someone who is always positive,
Yes.
Very interesting because he is always positive, like life never stops. And it can be brutal in this because it just goes on, never mind what, it will stample all over you if you want to stop. Life goes on, but that's the power of life also. Equally, this man is a force for good. He's always positive. He always laughs. He always knows how to turn something bad in something funny, but he will never do anything else. If you really want to have a serious discussion with him, he will just laugh about it. He is that. He is positive, but that's a limitation also, if you want. So he's not a very deep character. We learn many things about him reading the story, but that's why I mentioned he does not change. He doesn't evolve. He's really that. He represents that. Immutable.
Very well said, Miss Federica. Very well said. So to sum up our episode for today, what does In the Heart of Tusha suggest about the role of memory and history in shaping identity and place?
Wow, what a beautiful question. Oh gosh, this is a whole essay because there is history and archaeology in the region of Tusha, but as well, the protagonist writes this story that has just happened. So this is her memory already. And I can say what it means to me rereading this after now 2 years, three, four, since some things have happened that actually ended up in the book because there's an inspiration, there's an overlap between my life and the book. It's not my journal, it's not my story, but I also moved to this region during COVID, actually. Um, and reading those things now show me how I was thinking differently, the different person I was, because I wouldn't write the same book today at all. So there are multiple layers of memories and precisely connected to identity and who you are. I don't know that I can say it better now, but you really touched on a key point around this book here.
Yes, yes, Miss Federica Brasman, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. And we are looking forward for more empowering novel like this. So, Miss Federica, can you please invite our listeners to support In the Heart of Tusha?
Absolutely. Well, isn't it nice that the book is available in English too, so
Yes.
that an international audience can learn about this region in Italy that is already a very popular destination for tourists? I am not paid by anyone, about tourism, but do read first if you fall in love with the place and you come over. Look me up, give me a ring, and we'll go
Yes.
for coffee together. The book is available everywhere online. Hard copies in North America may be difficult to obtain, but the ebook has pictures in it, and you can get it for sort of like $3 immediately.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Federica Brasman because if you support her, as I said, more books to come. So, Miss Federica, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having this podcast about books.
More to come, people. See you soon. Thank you, Miss Federica. The one you told me that I'm gonna share to you the unedited version.